Okay, Putred's Repulsie Post-Mortem came out earlier this month, but I got a hold of it and decided to talk about it at the end of the month here anyhow. And because it's an interesting record, it's a very mid-paced death metal record with a lot of classic old school influences, and it primarily comes from a mixture of musicians who are from Texas, Mexico, and Romania. And because Uriel Aguillon, or Exhumator if you want, uh, is sort of the main songwriter, the kind of glue that put together this band and many other bands. But with this one focusing on a specific sound, which is closer to what a lot of people like about primitive death metal here in the 2020s. So you could go back and look at his history and all that. I don't claim to know that much about Morbicus and their demos. Those were kind of 90s kind of thing. But I did recognize what he was trying to do on those first couple of demo tapes for this band, like Necrosa and Execrat in Mormont, where um, he was writing something close to Death Doom, which was still focusing on groove, a little bit of early Dutch Death Doom, a little, which held a lot of the same influences, Obituary, uh, everything from Celtic Frost to whatnot. And the leads had a lot to do with early Paradise Lost, specifically Lost Paradise, and even a little bit of Gothic, if you want to go that far and study the those demos a little bit closer. But the pacing was the interesting part, and I think as an example, we could just jump right in to a track, and you'll see this personality and this idea has stayed true throughout the whole process of getting to the full length album. So go ahead and listen to a song. So there's a little bit of a dance to everything that Putrid does, and it's very different. In a lot of ways, their sound is similar to what Desecracy does with Finnish death metal, and changing the way the rhythms work for their own style. Putrid does the same thing, but it is more of a bluesy dance. There's some hard rock at the very core of what they do, or heavy metal, but it's simple in its construction and movement, and uh, doesn't quite reach the point of swing. It doesn't fully break into more than a groove outside of the traditional death metal influences, which should be pretty obvious once you get in there. So the lead style has changed in the process of some lineup changes and the more previous demo and a split, which saw the leads change to more of a Finnish style lead, where it's a leading, trailing off sort of tone, which fits the cavernous. Sort of almost pretty. It's kind of a brutal register of the vocalist here. I think the vocalist is quite good. Cremator, who is he's got his own band Demoted, and he's also in Exhumator's Vorus as well. So uh, that syncopated jogging pace, the movement of the album, it definitely needed something along the way, and it turns out really what this band needed was a little bit more of an expressive bassist with a more distinct tone who was going to play around with the rhythms a bit more. So uh, Tenebra, the new bassist, has stepped in and uh, given a little bit more to each song here, or this new lineup, and it really works. I think that none of it's flashy or technical or really progressive in any way. It's more just playing with the groove in sort of a clunky, uh, shambling kind of zombie kind of way. It's cool. It's an interesting sound. So I found it pretty hypnotic. It has just enough old school death metal feeling in it. It's got a little bit of the primitive throwback stuff that's going around everywhere in the United States right now. So it's it comes together pretty well overall as a full listen. Now, there's definitely standouts here, and I discussed those in detail in the review, so you could get there. But the gist of it is, I think this band they're right there. It was time for a full length, and this is a great example. And I think this is a good standard, a good launching pad for what they can do in the future. I don't think the idea needs to change. I wouldn't really criticize what they do. I just think the variation could help these things stick a little bit more if the pace moved around a bit more. They could embrace Death Doom. They could grind for all I care. It's a cool sound, and I like the rehearsed feeling of all the band, even though a lot of them are quite distant. So pretty impressive record and an easy one to recommend. It is a moderately high recommendation, probably more leaning towards nowadays old school influenced death metal fans. And yeah, go check it out. Go read the review and read the score while another song is playing.
Papa today.